What's up, guys? It's Rick Ginn. You're on the Flip with Rick channel. And I'm going to share some market intel today that you need to know as a wholesaler. In fact, I got some really fresh, updated information. We're going to see how it's going to affect the real estate market. We'll talk about everything going on. And most importantly, showing what you've got to be doing to avoid being flushed out in 2026, meaning 95% of the people are still depending on a lot of old information. And I just want to correct it today. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through and we're going to share a ton of information. Number one, you have the comment sections. This is a great place. If you got a question, ask it. Introduce us. Let us know what market you're in. This is the best place to make a wholesale friend because we only talk about wholesaling here. So the comments is one of the best sections to do that. If you guys are brand new, I would like you to jump over freewholesaling.com. This is an entire instructional course, not only how to get your first deal, but how to easily get to your first $100,000. And you're going to need it. And I promise you, if you're considering buying anybody's course, especially when it comes to wholesaling, do me a favor, go over to freewholesaling.com, do a comparison. We'll pull the covers back, show you what the course should look like. And you can use that as a kind of a bar because there's not many people. Most of the times when you buy these courses from people, you don't even know what you're getting. So you should take a look at it before you send the money. And if they don't want to show you the course before you send the money, do I need to tell you anymore? So we got you covered here. Not only your first deal in wholesaling, get you to your first $100,000. That is going to be the best way to do it. And I'm not going to ask you for a credit card. So just jump over there and get that going. So I put it right here on the bottom. Everybody understand it? Awesome. Perfect. So let's talk about in 2026. What are the pitfalls in wholesaling? Where are 95% of wholesalers going to get crushed? And let me just back it up. I've been doing this for 24 years. And the first thing that you have to understand is exactly how I've made my money in wholesaling. And most of my money was basically during troubled times. In fact, the real money, the real wholesalers figure out how to make money when everybody else is running. And here's what's going on wholesaling right now. Everybody's running because the reality is wholesaling really in the last 10 years, really from 2000, in my opinion, from 2013 to 2023 was probably one of the most prime conditions you could ever get into real estate in the United States in U.S. history. Why? There's a lot of things. Number one, they had the lowest interest rates basically on record, like way below 3%. So money was cheap. It was not a problem. Number two, there was plenty of availability of properties. And number three, prices were considered at the time actually below market, if not stable. And we were just coming out of one of the worst real estate crashes in U.S. history, which created this 10-year fantasy land. And here's the problem is a lot of wholesalers that made their money. And by the way, if anybody taught you wholesaling from 2013 to 2023, and they're not in the business anymore, it's not their fault. They just understand they weren't wholesaling. And if they're not wholesaling, why are you trying to duplicate that model? And I'm telling you right now, if you try to duplicate the model of the last 10 years, you're going to get wiped out like 95% of all other wholesalers on there. Why? Because it was an anomaly. Super low interest rates, high inventory, and coming out of the worst crash market in history. I could put a monkey in there and made money. But here's the problem is most of the money was not made wholesaling. It was made through speculation. And this speculation is now come back full circle. And now we're in 2026. And I don't know about you, but like, I can't tell you how many videos I see of people like, I'm quitting wholesaling. I'm not going to teach wholesaling anymore. Dude, just put the L on your forehead. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. You're a quitter. If you're going to quit now, get the hell out of our way and let's figure out how to do it. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, this is my favorite part of wholesaling. When everybody else is running and they're freaking out, you've got a choice. You can either run with them, you can take the sheep mentality, or you can be the lone wolf, the lion, whatever you want to call it, and you've got to run into the problem. And that's what's going on wholesaling. The weak, the scared ones, they all leave. I promise you, they're going to go find something else to hang their hat on. They're going to sell a coaching program in some other space, and then they're going to try to come back in wholesaling and say, I was always meant for wholesaling. And this is the problem. This is why I'm telling you right now, guys, with as much uncertainty as we got going on now, we're going to go through it. This is the time. I've never seen more people run from wholesaling. And this is when I know we're in the sweet spot. This reminds me a lot of 2009. From 2009 to 2011, either you set yourself up to become one of the greatest wholesalers in all of history, or you took another job. And you've got to make a decision right now. And I get it. You're like, Rick, man, like this is crazy, man. Prices are high. Interest rates are high. We have economic uncertainty. We got a global war going on. Maybe I should just quit this wholesaling thing. And I'm here to tell you, man, this is the time that you actually want to double down and getting it going. Because do you see this statement on my screen? Back in 2009 to 11, everybody left wholesaling. And I was one of the rare few people that hung it out. And I was rewarded blissfully for the next 12 to 14 years. And you are at a crossroads now. You are going to make a decision. So I'm going to show you why a lot of wholesalers' plans in 2026 not going to work out the way they thought it is. Because at some point, if you'll start relying on yourself and stop depending on all these market conditions to happen, you see, wholesaling works in the best of markets and the worst of markets. And so many wholesalers over the last 10 years have decided, I have to try to time the market to make it perfect. It's ridiculous. You can't do it in the stock market. Why do you think you can do it in wholesaling? I'm telling you right now, you have to understand how this game is played. And we are getting ready to walk into one of the sweetest spots I've ever seen in wholesaling. And the only people telling you to run from wholesaling are like the people who stopped coaching it, and that was it. They had their great YouTube channels and everything. The only reason they stopped is because you guys stopped buying their products that don't work anymore, because they were all just shiny objects, and most of them had nothing to do with wholesaling. You were going on MLS to try to do wholesale deals. You were trying to work with distressed sellers and be their partner in novations. That's not wholesaling. You tried to wholesale your deals and really try to sell them for retail and overpay for them. That's not wholesaling. And then some of you did fix and flip. And for God's sakes, those of you who take creative financing and thought you were going to be a subject to master, I don't even need to tell you where that's going. I promise you. If you think wholesaling is going away, wait till you see what's going to happen to subject to. Subject to is one of the biggest epic disasters I've seen in training. Now, I'm not here to accuse anybody of poor trainings. It's just there's not a one size fits all for subject to. There are rules. When you take over someone's mortgage, you got to read the entire packet, because that's what you're committed to. But nobody ever tells you that. They just go out and find anybody who wants to give up their mortgage. And unfortunately, it is a trust thing. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust a lot of people just to take over my paperwork. And the problem is, as soon as people got super creative and creative financing subject to, and they introduced how you can assign it over, you guys want to know why the industry's in so much trouble? It's absolutely terrible. So I love creative financing. I just don't believe it belongs in a beginner's hand with no experience without a legitimate partner that can walk them through the entire thing. End of story. And that's what happened. We skipped experience. We skipped common sense. We skipped capital. Then we said, hey, we'll show you how to borrow the money for the down payment. Okay, I'm not even going to get into that, how reckless that one is. Oh, and then, by the way, once you have a good deal, you can just, we're going to turn it into wholesaling, which creative financing was never meant to coincide with wholesaling. It was just a strategy when wholesaling didn't work out. But now we shoved wholesaling into subject to, which should have never, ever been married. And honestly, anybody teaching people to assign subject to should have their head checked. I'm sorry. Because the problem is, you can teach it and give them all the paperwork and right instruction, but what they decide to do with it is completely up to them, because it's not the investor that's going to get hurt. It's the homeowner that's going to get destroyed when that investor that bought it 2 or 3 transactions down the road. Why? Because they paid more for it, and once they get in a cash crunch, they're going to stop paying, which screws the homeowner, and we're all stuck. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're talking about right now. And so we're going into 2026. I want you to understand this. I see similarities when I was in 2009, 10. Now, number one, please don't run away from wholesaling. It's a very trendy thing to do right now. Go ahead, run. And if you do that, you're going to be one of these people. I put it up here. I have so much information to go over you to today. If you are just going to quit wholesaling because somebody told you to, then we have to talk about it. You see, here's the problem is you're looking for the easy button. And the more you look for the easiest button, the harder it is going to be fine. And here's the problem. You go on YouTube, you go on Instagram, you go to a seminar and you go, hey, this guy or girl is talking about how to make everything easier. You guys got to start thinking a little bit smarter and understand it's only easier for the person selling you the course. Let me repeat that. The only easy button is the person who's selling you the course because none of you are verifying any of the information and the trainings they're giving you. Is it legal? Will it work in my state? Does a real estate lawyer approve of this? Let me ask you this. Go do a subject to and go by a real estate lawyer and say, would you advise your client to take this subject to knowing they're just going to keep selling the paper down the road? And no lawyer, listen, no lawyer, not even one, would advise a distressed seller to assign their property over on a subject to without knowing that person's going to be on a hook. How do you do it? You got to do real paperwork with them. But the problem is we're training hundreds of thousands of people to do this with some of the worst paperwork I've ever seen. And the reality is the paperwork is geared towards the investor. And at any time they want to walk away from that subject to, they can. And there's nothing to keep them on the hook. Now, there are responsible investors that will sign a promissory note, will record a secondary mortgage to protect the seller's interest. But I guarantee you 95% of them aren't doing it. And by the way, you can use all sorts of executory contracts. Most of them are not going to be enforceable on a subject to because of the prior mortgage that's in place. And you can't act if you have to foreclose on a property or you're holding a deed in trust. You are going to be required to go through the court system to foreclose. They're not going to let you just magically enforce a document that's not recorded. Ask me how I know. And so I'm telling you, if you're looking for the easy button in 2026, it's not going to be on a YouTube video. It's not going to be on someone's link. Hey, take my course. You're actually going to have to do the work. So if we understand this going into this, we can understand what's going on. So what I want to do is go through what are the current situation we're dealing with in real estate that is massively going to affect wholesaling. And then I want to show you how to navigate it through. But I need to have conversations and involve you guys into it because this is what we're dealing with. So guys, put notes, put your questions in there. I will refer back to them. We'll start answering it. Let's go through what we're dealing with right now in 2026. So guys, let me know in the comments right now. If you got into wholesaling now, or you've been a wholesaler for a while, your game plan for 2026 going in towards the last quarter of 2025, what was your expectations that you thought the real estate market was going to do in 2026? So number one, let's talk about the biggest dark horse in the room, white elephant, whatever you want to call it, is we have to work. I like to work backwards from cash buyers because these are our end customers. And what we're all cash buyers looking forward in 2026, what is the one metric that they said, if we could get this happening, I'm going to infuse that capital and get it working in real estate? What is the one lever that all cash buyers have been hanging on really the last 3 years, but said at the end of 2025, I predict this is going to happen and it's going to enable me to buy more properties? So let me know in the comments because I already know what the answer is. And we're going to have to really, really scratch our heads and go, hey, how has this changed? So you have to understand, guys, what is the one thing that cash buyers were depending on in 2026 to happen? So Mark's got it right here. It's lower interest rates. But We got a problem, guys. We got a big problem right now. Everybody's putting interest rates, Fed rate, Fed rate. Awesome. Here's the problem, guys. Here's the problem. Actually, right now, with everything you see going on, do you see the Fed dropping interest rates anytime soon? Go ahead and put your comments in there because I already know the answer to this one. And if you guys have been tracking mortgage rates, they're actually creeping up. So unless you've been sleeping on a rock, you know about the global tensions, the global war. I'm not here to get into politics. I'm just here on what is the net effect of the U.S. economy, the real estate, and then how does it transcribe into wholesaling. So we have to go through it. So number one, the easiest one to figure out is every investor, every cash buyer was heavily depending on interest rates dropping in 2026. In fact, they wrote it in their business plans. They wrote up their cost to hold capital. And at the time when they were all figuring this out, they were hovering about 6.6% for a 30-year amortization on a mortgage. Pretty nuts, huh? Here's the problem, guys. It's all changed. And as we all thought we were going to get this incredible off-platforming, interest rates are going to drop back down to 4%, 3%, whatever you thought. The Fed's getting a new chairman. He's going to be pro for the current administration. All out the window, guys. All out the window. Let's think about this for a second. Why has this changed? It's simple. It's simple. We talk about interest rates right now. We all depended at this time that they were going to be going down and we'd have 2 years of an off ramp and real estate would explode. But what happens? We get a global argument. Now, I'm not here to pick political sides. I mean, we all have an opinion on that. I'm not going to win that debate because I'm not an expert on it. But I can tell you this, whenever a war is started, especially by the United States, it has a massive slingshot on the economy. Now, let's specifically talk about what its impact on real estate. So here's the problem is when you get global tensions like this, it makes people uneasy. It freaks the stock market out. The stock market is negative for 2026, which was not the forecast at all. And the market does not like unpredictable facts. And that's what we're in right now. And here's the worst part is buyers, they don't like unpredictable things. So I'm not going to pull up the interest rates because I'm going to waste a bunch of time on it. But the reality is interest rates went from 6.1 to around 6.25, 6.3, maybe 6.4. Why? Because of this global uncertainty. And until this global uncertainty gets rested, these are interest rates only have one direction to go, guys. I'm sorry. The truth is they have to go up. What do you mean, Rick? I thought we were getting a new Fed chair and everything. Well, you've got to understand when you get global wars, especially over oil, which has been the classic global, these fights have been going on for thousands of years. What does it do? It's going to create higher energy prices. Okay, how does higher energy prices translate to the real estate market? Well, here's the problem. It's not only the real estate market, the cost of everyone's goods costs so much more to move around on these ships. And when you have choke points around the world and you have global tensions based on wars, is people have to pick sides. And what happens to the market is between the reserves and OPEC, I'm not here to get into because I'm not like an expert on oil, but oil gets bid up. And so now we're seeing marks at $110 a barrel. We've seen it as low as $40, $50 a barrel. I mean, the healthy point is you just really don't want to get over like 90 because the numbers get out of whack. And so this is a game of chicken who can hold out the longest because every day we have higher oil prices, the cost of goods go up. How does that affect real estate? Well, the cost of lumber goes up. The cost to produce oil goes up. For gas goes up. Shipping costs go up. Everything goes up. And if everything goes up, which by the way, energy prices have the biggest impact on what? Interest rates. It creates a little thing called inflation. And if you understand the goal of our Federal Reserve, which is they basically have a two-prong approach. I'm going to rephrase of my personal opinion of it because I think the Fed is a way unnecessary thing, but their job is to keep inflation in check and stimulate the economy with a particular emphasis on job creation or to minimize unemployment. Now, the weird thing is unemployment's been being held at a very steady low rate, but we already know these energy prices are going to have a catastrophic effect on interest rates. So here we are rolling into close to April. So we're going into Q2, and we all thought we would be offloading interest rates right now. So, guys, what's this mean? It means that homeowners are going to pay more for their properties, which is going to create less desirability for flippers, people who fix and flip them, which is going to put more pressure back on us to buy these properties at much deeper discounts because there's a lot of uncertainty going on right now. So as I go through this presentation, my job's not to scare you, it's to emphasize what the purpose of a wholesaler is and how we make our money. And if you understand, we are not speculators, and the speculators have all got washed out of the market as far as I'm concerned. Only the real wholesalers are left, the ones that understand how to buy properties for deep, deep discounts. And we go from there. Because now that we went to global uncertainty, oil price wars, higher energy price creates inflation, and then inflation is going to force the Fed to raise the interest rates. Guys, this is only number one. This was not predicted. This was not in my cards. I thought by now we'd be really kind of going in the spring with a bunch of momentum going in the housing market, and we just keep getting more and more headwinds. Now, here's the beauty of real estate: it never stays in one place for super long. It's a constant moving dynamic, and I'm here to tell you, you're going to have to hang in there. It is not like the stock market. The stock market is extremely reactional. Real estate moves in very slow increments, and if you study it over the long time, you can find the whole thing. And I'm just telling you, is once energy prices go way up, like the cost of oil's jumped, it usually has a staggering effect. So here's the problem: is if the homeowners were waiting for all interest rates to be under 6%, which a lot of them are, that's out the window, which is just going to push back their demand. And then the fix and flippers are going to go, okay, well, if my holding costs are higher and there's less interest in real estate, they're going to get even more selective what they're buying. And so how does that affect us, the wholesalers? Here's the bottom line, guys. If you're not buying properties from people who need to sell and you're not truly wholesaling, you are going to get killed. There is no more, let me buy and see what I can get for it. You better be buying the fundamentals of wholesaling, and that's what we're going to go over today. You have to understand. So if you understand that's the first thing that we're dealing with. Okay. So the interest rate is going to have a huge impact, and it's going to drastically affect the forecasting of homeowners to get back into the market and getting on. Now we have another wave going on. Actually, we got three more. The next one, the private equity crunch. What do I mean by private equity? So it's the bank's jobs to regulate the risk in the real estate market. And now here's the good news: is they're actually writing responsible loans. So we don't have the typical credit risk we had back in 2005, 6, and 7 when they gave everybody a loan. We have the opposite problem: is they've tightened up regulations. They made reserves so much higher. But I'm telling you, between the current administration and all the regulatory committees, they're trying to find a way to stimulate the real estate economy. And they are talking about accessing more private capital, meaning they're going to allow banks to do much more riskier loans. Now, I know you guys think that's a good thing, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think it's a good thing because it's a temporary fix. And if we go back to writing more and riskier loans, if a bank fails, it's going to have a catastrophic effect to our economy. But they're starting to free up this money. And remember when I told you guys, there's $8 trillion still sitting in like T-bills and money market accounts. They're trying to get that money stimulated to get it back into real estate. The problem is, if I can earn 4.25 and I never have to take one single ounce of risk, I don't have to use my brain or anything, and I'm currently beating inflation, which inflation's going to go up. So we're all probably going to have to move our money, because if inflation goes up to 5 to 6%, your 4.25 is going to be a losing proposition. So do you see how interest rates, when costs go up, they have to cover their cost? So the idea is, if this private capital gets in, it's good for the short term, but in my opinion, it's bad for the long term. It actually will create more foreclosures and everything else with it. So you're going to see much more. Like I remember when we saw a bunch of ARMs mortgages. You're going to see a bunch of different mortgage products that are going to start hitting the market, and they're going to fear the people with like stated income and stuff like that. Just beware, because it's coming, guys. It's coming actually heavily, and we need to talk about it. The next thing we have to talk about is the cost of owning a home in the United States. So, guys, let me ask you, outside of the actual mortgage, what is your biggest headache? Let's just talk about the homes you guys own or the ones that you manage or rent. What is the biggest headache other than the tenants, which I already know that? What is your biggest headache cost for owning a property in the United States as it stands in 2026? And what gives you the most anxiety at night thinking about the cost, the future cost to own this property? Say you even own it cash outright. So here's one of the problems: the property taxes. It's horrendous. I want to share a stat with you. This is the crazy part. The other one's insurance. So these are a problem. And you know what? This problem is quietly grown into a monster. Let me give you some stats here. Since 2019, seems like yesterday, property taxes in the United States are up on an average 72%. Now, guys, it's unsustainable to stay at this rate. So that puts us at, let's see here. So if I run this 72, that means property taxes have been going up about 12.5% every year since 2019. At like what point do we get a break? And keep in mind, if I'm an investor, I get no protection from this. I just, whatever they say the millage is rate, and I get stuck with it. By the way, I fight my property taxes like it's my job. Like I hire someone to fight it. It's that bad. Because if I can just get 10 or 15% off of it, it pays for itself. 72%. How on earth is the average person going to be able to maintain homeownership in the United States when the property tax, which by the way, even if you own it cash, if you don't pay it, they take it from you. It's horrendous. And as I shoot this live stream, there, I believe, are a total of 16 states which are trying to strip property tax rights. Now, here's the thing is, a lot of people go, oh, they're just trying to eliminate all the they're not. So they said right off the bat that the fire department, the police department, and the schools all stay on. It's all the other crap that you and me have no control over, that our tax assessors are spending their money. And just like a good government employee, if you give them $5 billion, they'll spend $6 billion. Like the Madami effect. It doesn't matter where you are. It's really bad in the state of Florida. And the idea is just replace it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do sales tax, if they're going to come up with an intangible tax, estate tax. But why should a little old lady lose her property because she couldn't figure out how to pay her property tax? It's abusive. But here's the problem is, do you guys subscribe that your renters, if say you're renting, you're like, well, this isn't my problem. I go, let me ask, when my property tax bills goes up, who do you think I forward those expenses to? The renter. So if you're renting, it's even a bigger problem, in my opinion, because all these taxes are coming your way. Let's talk about insurance. Since 2019, insurance is up 31% with no breaks coming in sight. And you know how insurance are. They don't want to pay for anything. And here's the problem is, we've created a monster inside of real estate. Number one, short-term rentals and doing things like pad split, Airbnb. Just so you know, none of those events are going to be covered under a regular homeowner's policy. You know why? Because they're commercial endeavors, and most people bought a private policy, and most of you think you're covered until you have a problem. And I'm telling you, The minute they find out your properties has a commercial venture, you're done. You have to go out and get a special commercial policy. Oh, that's right. My pad split coach didn't tell me that one. Guys, if you're not getting special binders through commercial carriers, you're at massive risk. Not only are they going to sue your company, they're going to come after you personally because you're if you told the bank what you were doing with them, they would have never, most likely, they would have never given you the loan for it. Number two, they definitely wouldn't have approved of the insurance. So if we understand that the cost of insurance, the cost of property taxes is killing most cash buyers' desires to buy property right now because there's no sight in end. Now, I'm here to tell you they currently have legislation on the books being talked about between Fannie and Freddie. I'm going to put it up right here, right now, on changing insurance requirements. Does anybody understand what this means? Because this is a double-edged sword that either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, or you're going to find out it's good now, it's going to be bad for me later. So let me explain how this is going to work. As of right now, when you get an insurance policy, you are typically paying for full replacement value. And the only thing you need to agree with the insurance carrier on is the value of the real estate. So if I insure a property for $500,000 and say I've got a $10,000 deductible, the most limits that the insurance company is on the hook for is $490,000. Everybody get it? Pretty straightforward. The problem is the premiums have gotten so high, and the banks want to the insurance companies and banks want to offload their risk. So what they want to do is they want to lower their risk and increase profits. So how do we trick the public into actually doing this? Let me show you how they do it. This is what's going to be crazy. Ready? They're now going to start. This isn't out yet, but I'm pretty sure they're going to allow it. You're going to get actual cash value policies. Now, these are valuable for me as an investor on the right type of properties. You have to have capital. You have to have reserves. You have to have money in like your own business to cover the losses. Now, me as a private company is I can cover up to 20 to 30% of my losses. In fact, I do that to lower my cost, but I set those monies aside and I invest them in the T-bills, money market, stuff like that. So I know I can cover in a catastrophic event like a tornado. I don't get earthquakes here. Hurricane, stuff like that. Here's the problem, guys. They're going to make this available to regular homeowners now. And so what does an actual cash policy mean? It means if you have a roof and it's got a 20-year shelf life, most of them they're going to write down the 15, by the way. But let's just say 20. And say you got hit with a hurricane or a tornado 10 years later, and say you paid 20 grand for that roof. Okay. They're going to value it based on what its depreciated value, which is about 10 grand. They'll do the rest of the house. So if the house is worth 500 grand and they minus off the land, and then they go, the replacement value for that house is 200,000. It's going to lower their premium and everyone's going to feel good for a little bit until you have to make a claim and find out you're about $150,000 short. Think about what they're going to do here. They're going to minimize their risk, reducing the owner's cost, but they're going to transfer the risk to the owners. And if the owners don't have the cash for this, what's the point of getting half the value of my house? And remember, you're going to be subjected to the depreciated value. You don't even know what it's going to be because nobody ever asks questions on this. And I'm going to be honest with you, homeowners aren't even going to know what they're insuring. Now, the banks are going to be really happy because they lower the risk. They transfer the risk to the homeowner, and they're actually going to raise, like, they're dollar for dollar, they're actually going to be highly more profitable, and they lower their risk. This is how we're going to fix it. I think this is an absolute disaster waiting to happen because I've been through claims on cash values. You'll be shocked. They'll go through everything in your house and tell you what it's worth. And usually the most they'll pay is about 40 cents on the dollar. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think a lot of people can afford to do that if they get hit with a catastrophic event. And we have to understand what's going on. Does everybody understand that? It's painful. I'm telling you, this is going to come out. They're trying all these crazy ways to minimize some of these expenses. To me, property tax to me doesn't even make sense anymore. Like in the state of Florida, the average property tax bill is around $6,500. I'm talking average. Uh, what I mean, at that rate, I can send my kid to private school. I can get private. So the numbers are staggering. And our average tax bill used to be over $1,000, $1,500 here. It's just gotten to the point. And here's the problem: is if I've got a $6,000 insurance bill, is okay, and then I've got a $6,500 property taxes. Before I put $1 towards my mortgage or even paying on this house, I have to pay $1,042 just for holding costs on the property before I even get to the physical piece of real estate. And guys, this is like, we're going to have to find a way to fix this. I'm telling you this because you need to know what's going on and what most people are not talking about. So we have that we have that one going for it. It's absolutely crazy. And then don't even like, I don't want to hear about your political affiliations. I don't give a crap. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent. I don't care, because at the bottom line is these interest rates we keep talking about, they're tied to our national debt. And I'm embarrassed as a fellow human being to announce that we are $39 trillion in the hole with no end in sight between what Republicans and Democrats are spending. This is a Congress problem. They just don't, everybody keeps kicking the can down the road. Now, maybe if you put some, I don't know, you put younger people in there, they might start thinking towards their kids' futures and their grandkids' futures, because at the rate we're at right now, it is not sustainable. And it pisses me off. But how is that going to affect real estate? As long as our debt keeps climbing, there's just going to be no rainy day money. And the problem is our future generations are going to have to pay for it. Honestly, when you find a politician that can take on Social Security and Medicare, the two biggest things killing our entire country, I look forward to the future. And if you're going to just keep kicking it down because it's politically impolite to talk about it, at some point, guys, we do not have the money to pay for it. And we've got so much fraud and abuse. The Medicare, to me, is one of the most abusive systems I've ever seen. I understand its original intent, but like a guy like me, I can pay all into Social Security for 35 years. I can drop dead tomorrow. My family gets a tiny little payment, and then they take all that money and then the government spends it towards something else. It's like, we got problems in that. So we have to understand how we're going to fix this stuff. So let me check the comments. So what I want to do is talk into like, what can we do now to like move forward? I'm not here. I'm just telling you, these are all headwinds that we have to deal with. These global tensions are really killing our inflation, and it's going to kill our interest rates. Now I don't depend on interest rates. I want them to go down for obvious reasons, because it tends to stimulate real estate markets, but that ship has sailed. It's gone. You got to abandon it if you think they have to go up, because once this data hits, and it will hit, there's going to be a correlation between inflation. The Fed's going to look at it. We need to control inflation, and don't be surprised to see inflation rates increase. And I don't even explain how this works with our national debt. We can barely afford the interest now. It's going to be problematic. So here's my summary, guys. I'm telling you right now, we are going into some much darker times than what we originally anticipated. Now, here's the good news is, just get started in wholesaling. There is no timing in this market. And the people that run when they get negative news in real estate, they were never meant for it. It means they got lucky. And who wants to learn from someone who's lucky? So let me give you let me run through a list of things that you need to avoid in 2026, especially what's going on in the market. Interest rates aren't coming down, guys. There's going to be a few more headwinds for the next 90 days. Hopefully something breaks. I just don't see them. Wars don't just stop in a week or two. Wasn't born yesterday. I've been through Iraq, Afghanistan. I've seen all this stuff. And without troops on the ground, there's only so much you can do. So I'm not here to get into politics. How does it affect our real estate market? There's headwinds, guys. And we were hoping by springtime it was all coming off and we were going to be rolling some sweet time. Here's the deal, guys. If the market news is even worse, you should get more excited as a wholesaler. Why? because there's so many more opportunities to make money, because the average person just can't put a property on the market and get it sold quickly anymore. Now, I'm here to tell you that um, a lot of people are depending on this. So if you're depending on outside events on how your wholesaling is going to go, you're doing it wrong. Does everybody understand that? Here's the only person you're going to depend on. It's you. It's not me. It's not Zach. It's you. In fact, it would have been so easy for me in 2008, 2009 just to quit wholesaling. But a little birdie told me just to hang in there. And my hanging in and sucking it up that 18 months gave me 13 years of bliss, some of the easiest wholesaling I've ever seen. But the problem is we created a lot of monsters. And people just, if you have not gotten a hint, please, guys, do not do one-on-one wholesaling. Anybody who's going to offer you one-on-one wholesaling and they're not in your hometown and they're not doing JV deals with you and partnering up on you, they're just telling you what their value is. I'm sorry. I could never afford to do it. Like, that would be insanity. I would take such a pay cut. It'd be crazy. So make sure you understand what you're doing. So let's walk through everything we can do to avoid what strategies. All of the strategies are not wholesaling. And that's what I'm here to tell you. So here's the thing you have to understand first. You have to understand the fundamentals of wholesaling. What do I mean? If you don't get this line, you're not going to get the rest of them. We buy low and we sell medium. Bottom line, we buy low and sell medium. I cannot stress the buy low enough to you. And guys, we are never going to compete on price because price is our lowest. Like, that's the least thing we offer. But what we are going to compete on is connecting with sellers, gaining their trust, and helping them solve a problem. You see, wholesaling is simply low risk, high reward. That's why you're most likely watching me now. Let's just tell it what it is. I've never seen an industry, and you guys can tell me, you can find another one, where you can come in with absolutely zero money. Yes, in 2026, you can still do this with absolutely zero money and make six figures. And it's not that challenging. Now, it's challenging in different degrees for each individual. We can debate that. But you show me anywhere else where you can come in with zero money and turn it into six figures. I can tell you right now, unless you play the lottery or something, there's no other industry that you can do it. And that's why you're here. But you're going to have to roll your sleeves up and you're going to have to understand how this works. So if you don't learn to buy low, it means you have to buy medium. And if you buy medium, you have to sell high, which makes you a realtor, which kind of makes you, you know what I'm saying? So we have to understand you have to buy low. That's why we teach you lowballing techniques like go for no. We don't do it cold. We teach you how to earn people's trust and how to connect with them. But if you're not buying low and selling medium, you're not wholesaling. So let's talk about the strategies that aren't really working. Let's talk about the strategies that you have to employ, especially in 2026, knowing interest rates are going down. Inflation costs are going up. The insurances are going to be a problem. They're going to have all sorts of products and confuse people. And property taxes is only going up. So how do we do this? Number one, you need to buy off market. Going into 2026, I'm not going to change this. Do not waste your time on MLS stuff. That's all the stuff that people want to sell for tippy top dollar. It's a waste of your time because we are never going to win on price. And MLS predominantly wins on price alone. Number two, if you got to deal with a realtor, and I'm not opposed to dealing with a realtor, but as a new wholesaler, I need to be direct to seller because that's the only way I can get the story from the seller. You see, the symptom of real estate, if a property is vacant, you need to talk to the seller to find out what created that vacancy. Was it a loss of job, loss of a loved one? Was it a dispute? What was it? Because the money's in getting into the story and helping them solve the problem. You have to solve a problem. And you can't solve a problem with just throwing money at it every time. So wholesalers that sit there and just buy leads and just go, well, you take 50, well, you take 60, you take 70. That's not wholesaling, guys. You're just a cash buyer. And these are the same people who tell you you have to get somebody to fund it. You should fix it up. That's not wholesaling. Those are the people that are in trouble right now because they can't move their properties. You see, I want to minimize my risk. I find the deepest discounted properties and I sell a medium and I let the fix and flipper take all the risk. I sell the vision. I don't make anybody buy a property from me, but I know it's going to take that person 6 to 12 months to get what they want out of that property. And here's the thing is, if you as a wholesaler understand minimizing your risk, maximizing your reward, you transfer the risk to somebody else. Remember we talked about with the insurance company. And keep in mind, the end buyer, which is going to be the fix and flips customer, which is our customer, there's so many variables that have to happen that are completely out of his or her control. And that's the part I love about wholesaling because I don't worry about interest rate fluctuation. I don't worry about liquidity. I do worry about affordability. But at the end of the day, if interest rates go up and a sudden onset of additional properties hit the market, by me doing an assignment of contract, I just minimized my risk. And that's what I love about it because I can do 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 properties in a month. If I'm just going to do one in a fix and flip, I can probably do 2 or 3 a year. That's the average person's capacity. It's just the truth. And by the way, guys, fix and flipping is a whole different skill set, has nothing to do with wholesaling. You got to learn how to negotiate with contractors, how to enforce contracts, how to do holdbacks, and how to inspect properties for high quality work. Not my expertise, nor should it be yours. So if we want to be direct to sell, the last one is the bottom line, you got to find people who need to sell. If you think in 2026, you're going to sit there and court people who want to sell because this is the way it's been taught the last 10 years, keep in mind the same people that were teaching this technique, they're gone. The reason they're gone is because dinosaurs die. It doesn't work. Fundamentals always stick around. Pull your government list, figure out how to do this. That's what you're going to have to do. Does everybody understand that? I'm telling you, if you don't stick to the basics, you're going to get killed. So, I'm just reading the comments here. Okay. Well, we're going to have to talk about that one. So, here's the other thing, guys, is I want you to understand we all talk about this like it's kind of a running joke, like AI with artificial intelligence. Now, there's a two-pronged approach in real estate with it. Number one is how is AI going to affect real estate in the long run? In my perfect world, it would wipe out every real estate agent. I'm sorry. I said it. I know. Get mad at me. It is what it is. Most real estate agents, let's face it, they throw it on MLS and they answer their phones and text. That's usually about the extent of most real estate. There are exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's some very good ones out there. But for the most part, any moron can take a real estate exam, pass it because they can take it as many times as they want. And as long as they pay their fees, which is all NAR cares about, and they control them, then anybody can be a real estate agent. Artificial intelligence, in my opinion, it's got to get rid of at least half the realtors, in my opinion. And the fact of the matter is a lot of autonomous things that we used to do ourselves are now being done by AI. Now, on a bigger scale is AI has taken trillions and trillions of dollars investment, and there's a new approach on the stock market trying to see if these investments are actually going to pay dividends. And the fear is they're throwing too much money, the cash burn's too high, and they're not going to get a return on their investment. And if people jump in $2, $3, $4 trillion and the company can't turn a profit for its investors, its stockholders, guys, it's going to be problematic. And a lot of that is heavily, heavily invested in real estate automations. So, like, for example, we talk about cryptocurrency on how it could pretty much fix title insurance. There's massive resistance in that business and the underwriters and the insurance companies. And I guess you can't make them do it, but like it's such an easy fix. It would, in my opinion, almost wipe out the entire industry and would drive costs down so low. And so they're fighting back on that. So you got to understand AI. And the other thing is AI, if you're not using AI in your follow-up systems, oh my God, guys, like How do you guys even keep up without using a robust CRM like X Leads to keep it going? I'm telling you right now, you have to figure out how to do it. So, like right now, I use AI would really replace 4 virtual assistants I will hire to scrape leads, scrape data, and constantly call and message sellers back in my pipeline. Now, I always have hundreds of thousands of leads. And you guys, even with your basic account, I always talk about quantity. If you're going to have 25,000 leads and X leads, how in the earth are you going to keep up with 25,000 leads? Say just 3,000 are good in there, which would be a big number. But say after 10 months, that's 30, 40,000 leads in there. The old days, I used to have like a little tickler and I would move the file to the back. That's how old I am. And today, I like when we have our follow-up screen every day, there's literally like 700 to 800 contacts to do on there. Did you know 95% of it is done by AI? And the seller has no idea what the difference is. So those of you guys resisting it, I'm telling you, you're going to have to make changes on this one because AI, in my opinion, it is here to stay. The question, does the investment of AI pay off in 2026? It's going to have a big impact on some of these stocks. And we'll have to see how that affects because it's going to like severely affect liquidity. So I always talk to you about the guys with the easy button. The next one, here's the big difference. Here's the big difference in 2026. This is what we're doing in our company. Got it, guys. I've been wholesaling for 24 years. And I tell you what, I still want you to cast a big net and I still want you to do a volume. But you guys got to stop just taking the easy button and just try to find a low hanging fruit. Go deep with people. Find the people that need to sell their house, that need a solution, and go deep with them. What do I mean by deep? Gain their trust, connect with them, and hear them very carefully. Because here's the crazy part. The solution lies in their answer. It doesn't lie in your ability to be smart. Yes, you need guidance. You need to understand the basics of wholesaling, but you will learn so much by just talking to a seller. Because if you can't solve the seller's problem, why on earth are they going to do business with you? And here's the key. The solution is right here in the gift God gave you, 2 ears and 1 mouth. You've got to use it. But so many people are so busy trying to be the authorities and talking and grabbing, which leads us to our next one. You guys are just going to have to lose your ego. I'm sorry. I hate the ego. The ego's, I don't understand why we have one. It makes no freaking sense to me. Your ego is your ability of yourself always trying to be right, always trying to feel important, and trying to be the center of attention. We all have it. I have one. You have one. We can all admit it. A sign of maturity is when you can separate your emotions from what your actual physical actions are. That's a sign that you're letting go of your ego. Now, in my 30s, I had a little bit of a problem with this. The whole point of life, guys, is to learn lessons and grow from it. Does everybody understand that? And as a wholesaler in the beginning, almost every wholesaler brags in their first 10 to 12 years. Why? I can say that because I'm approaching 25 years. And I could say it with authority. And I went through the same thing. And I learned the more I ran my mouth, the more I felt good in the short term, and the more in the long term I screwed myself. So now I'm of the complete opposite. I'll let you win any battle you want. You're never going to win a war with me or the Ginns. Why? Because my ego is not going to win. My ego is just my subconscious trying to take over, trying to right the ship. And number one, I don't need to explain myself to anybody. Number two, I just don't care. Like I'm in that phase of my life. I don't care. And the sooner you can grasp this concept, meaning the more direction you can take in your wholesaling career. Because if you're constantly letting everybody tell you on the internet what to do, here's a guy screaming on the internet telling you what to do, is you have to be your own hero. You have to lead the charge. You have to do it. It's not Rick and Zach and all these other people. At the end of the day, you have to make a decision. And if all you do is take everybody else's opinion and you formulate how you're going to move forward, then you got a little bit of piece of everyone. Now, you should take advice from both sides to a point, but at the end of the day, you have to form your own plan, your action plan, especially when it comes to wholesaling. And you've got to stop trying to jump ships. I'm going to try this novation system. I'm going to try this, sell my sell my wholesale deal for retail profit. I'm going to try a master lease option. I'm going to try subject to. Oh, I'm going to try this technique and that. For God's sakes, just go out there and find motivated sellers that need to sell their house off market to wreck the seller. That's all you got to do. And if you're going to do that, let's talk about the next thing. That this is a chronic problem in real estate right now. And what do I got to do to get across to you? Ready? Stop trying to look rich. You don't look rich. You look foolish. I'm just telling you. If you want to look rich, you will not become rich. It's physically impossible. What do I mean by look rich? If you're constantly trying to show off what you have, look at this car I'm in. Look at this boat I'm in. Look at the cash sitting on my desk. Okay, that's great. Does it make you feel better? Because I don't care. If you truly want to stop looking rich and become rich, the rule of the thumb is you have to stop looking rich. Why? Because you're so concerned with how everybody else perceives what you're doing. You're putting up a false persona and it's fake. And you start convincing yourself and you know you're fake and you keep doing it over and over. What do I mean? Do you know for 7 years in wholesaling, I basically didn't do a damn thing. I didn't go on fancy vacations. I made massive sacrifices. I didn't go to the bar. I stopped. And listen, I did all that. I did this later in life, 33. And I had a season of sacrifice. We didn't do fancy vacations. We didn't do steak dinners. It was brutal. Me and my wife shared a car for 5 years because I tried to cut cost in every corner. I had to live way below the means, and I got a lot of shit for it. What do I mean? You don't look like you got a lot of money, Rick. That's right. I'm becoming rich, and I loved it when people do it. If I went to a football game, I stood in the nosebleed seats in the very corner. You're going to ask Zach this. Why? Because I wasn't going to give up $500 to fulfill my short-term fantasy of watching a football game. I'll either watch it on TV or I'll go for under $100 and enjoy myself. I didn't stop life. I just stopped trying to look rich. I didn't care. Oh, you got a BMW? I'm so happy for you. Yeah, your Honda, that thing's pretty rough. I go, I know, but it's who I am. I'm proud of it because I was taking all that money and investing it in real estate, stocks, bonds, everything else. And here I am 15 years later, it's paid me millions and millions of dollars over. Everybody has to go through a season of sacrifice. So if you want to stop looking rich, all you have to do is replace it with becoming rich. And becoming rich means you have to do the complete opposite. You don't care what car you drive. You're not here to impress anyone else. The only thing you're here is to impress upon your family on how to get truly financially free to do all the things you want in your life. Because at the end of the day, none of these clowns are going to go to your funeral. None of them are going to say a damn word and they don't care. And then life's going to go by and there's going to be people replace you. So you might as well make it count. Make the freaking sacrifice, guys. I'm telling you, you have to do it. Now, let's talk about one that I can tell you this, right? You guys got to get a top tier CRM follow up. The amount of deals we're doing is ridiculous. I have it at the bottom of the screen. Go get your 14-day free trial at X Leads, but you have to do it. I got so many more. I'm going to keep going over this. Guys, if you're just doing real estate locally, welcome to 2026. With the addition of X Leads and all the information you can do, you can easily do your wholesaling across the entire country, not the world, the country. Why? Because I just don't know. It's very hard to survive without virtual markets anymore. It's just the truth. And stop telling me everything's saturated. It's not. I promise you, it's not. Now, I'm about to put up some controversial stuff that you should be doing in 2026. And I want you to understand how this works. Here it is. You ready? This is what a lot of people aren't doing anymore. And guys, you guys have learned some of the challenges of cold calling, SMS texting, and we talk about TCPA compliance. And we're all worried about like, what is legal? What can I do to create inbound leads in my real estate business? Now, this strategy is not for beginners. I don't want you to start out beginning it, but Guys, dude, direct mail in 2026, it's going to change a lot of your guys' lives. Why? Because people did so much direct mail in the last 10 years. They say it got saturated. It didn't get saturated because most people don't know what they're doing. And most people will send out one set of mailers and tell you they don't work. They don't understand it. Here's the truth when it comes to direct mail, guys. And this is why you're going to see a major shift in 2026. Number one, it's 100% legal. Let me repeat that to everybody. It's 100% legal. You can't get sued for it. Some of you guys are getting sued 15, 20, $50,000 just by making one phone call or one text. And what if I could show you how to send out 10,000 pieces of mail, create a robust follow-up system where they call you, you get a higher quality motivated seller, and then you can control which market you go in. And here's the crazy part. You can do you can do it right now inside of X Leads, your entire direct mail campaign. You can look at your KPIs in there. You can use me and Zach's postcards. We use our letters, our templates, whatever you want to do. Now, I'd like to have you see at least 3 deals under your belt. But guys, this is 100% legal. You get a 5 to 6 times return on your investment, and it's 100% scalable even for one individual wholesaler. And if you're like me, when you started out, you're an individual entrepreneur, solopreneur, I call you, it's perfect. And why a lot of you guys are still struggling with cold calling and SMS, and I still love those, but they are getting pressures. You're going to see direct mail come more and more back online. In fact, did you know 70% of wholesaling leads are generated solely through direct mail? Why? Number one, it's legal. You cannot get sued with direct mail unless you have a terrible illegal offer, which that's considered fraud anyways. Number two, it's a proven investment vehicle. If I put in $5,000, I usually get between $25,000 and $30,000 back out of that machine. Now, here's the truth of direct mail. It takes a 90-day investment. Anything less than 90 days will not work. You pair that up with an X Leads follow-up system, phenomenal, guys. Phenomenal. I'm telling you, you have to do it. The next part of it, if you're not doing probates in 2026, I don't even want to talk to you. I'm just kidding. I want to talk to you, but the reality is probates, guys, they are big problems. And not everybody in probate wants to sell to an investor, but the ones that do, they're going to leave you the most amount of profit. You got to solve the biggest problem. And here's the thing is, most of you are scared to do this because you go, Rick, it sounds complicated that somebody dies. I feel like I'm an ambulance chaser. Get over it. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to figure out how to do joint ventures. Because let me explain how the rest of 2026 is going. The problems are only getting deeper in real estate. We've already seen that. We talk about global tensions. We talk about energy prices, inflation, the Fed, these crazy insurance things. In my opinion, subject to 100% is going to be attacked. They're going to put limitations and make it a crime if you take over someone's mortgage while not changing the deed and removing them from the mortgage paperwork. How it works out, it's not up to me. Do I want that? Absolutely not. Nobody wants it. But you have forced the hand when you have hundreds of thousands of people out there marketing to realtors, which is the worst part of this. And the realtors are getting sick and tired of it, and they can't take it anymore because the reality is there's no rules to subject to. At least wholesaling, it has to be funded with cash. With subject to, you take inexperienced people, they make some money, and they kick the seller's problem down the road. And then eventually the house gets foreclosed on and everybody gets screwed over, mainly the homeowner. But hey, this has been a main tactic. Do you know there's challenges in taking over an FHA subject to? Did you know there's challenges in taking over a VA? But yeah, nobody told me that. Nobody's ever told you should read every word in a mortgage document because you're subject to the exact same terms. Nobody tells you how to deal with the insurance issue. Nobody tells you how to deal with the power of attorney. You're not technically supposed to take over power of attorney because you have fiduciary responsibilities. And once again, this is why I do not teach a subject to class because they're independent. The laws are different in multiple states. You have disclosure laws. And even in like the state of Texas, one of the strictest states, if you don't know what you're doing, you could actually get in a lot of trouble. And so joint ventures, what do joint ventures allow us to do? This is my favorite part. So you're going to find bigger problems. You're going to find deceased owners. You're going to find people that have like the wrong people on title. They need quick claims. There's a big giant lien and they want to foreclose on it. If you guys can locate these deals and find these stacked lists where people in probates behind on their taxes, just simple strategies. Me and Zach teach you every day at freewholesaling.com. You don't have to pay $40,000, $50,000 to learn these strategies. Here's what you get. When you do a joint venture, you find the opportunity, you split it equally with them, and then that joint venture partner should bring capital and they should bring wisdom to the transaction, which means experience, which gives you exactly what you're missing. You have a deal, we have the capital and the experience, you put them together. On average, you can make $100,000 on a deal. Why not make 50 grand by pairing up someone who knows actually what they're doing? This is going to be a killer strategy going into the rest of 2026, because I believe the problems are just going to get bigger, guys, and they're going to get more complicated. And remember, your number one skill set in all of wholesaling is what? It's your ability to market and find motivated sellers that need to sell their houses for deep discounts. If you can just locate, you are bringing the highest skill set to the table. And if you can locate one for me and Zach and my team, I got no problem splitting it with you. But am I going to split one with you where you scrape it off the MLS because you learned this course where you could just wholesale houses off MLS? Probably not going to work out very well for you because it's not in our area of expertise. Do I wholesale houses on MLS? I do, just through realtor referrals, but for the most part, any leads you guys send me that are on MLS with a realtor are typically rejected because it's just a waste of our time. Period. So everybody get that? Guys, go get JV. The other thing is when you do virtual markets, guys, the downside is you don't know that local market. So what's the best way to learn that market? Pair up with a professional in that market, preferably a wholesaler that's really good at disposition. So if you find a motivated seller and maybe they live in your town, but they own a property in this other town that you've paired up with this other wholesaler, is he or she's going to know exactly what it needs to sell for. And they can probably move it with the greatest speed because they have cash buyers already built in. And that's the beauty of JVing. So many of you guys are leaving so much money on the table because you want to try to do it all. And you've got to learn how to work with others and play well with others to utilize other people's talents to make the most money. Does everybody understand that? I can't stress this enough. I would not be where I am today if I did not have all my JV partners. I've got probably about 200 JV partners across the country that I've done deals with, and they make my life so much easier. And it's a lot of fun to work with them. So, guys, you also have to understand this. Cash buyers in 2026, with all the changes we've talked about in this live stream, they're trying to find the new normal in real estate investing. Because if they have to live with the higher interest rates, they have to live with the increasing insurance coverage costs that they're being charged, and they have to deal with property taxes that just have no end in sight and rising. If they can't transfer those costs to the end user, there's no purpose in them buying it, because we all admit we have to sell our properties. We have to buy them low, sell them medium, because that sell medium is the fix and flipper's job to sell from medium to high. This is where all the risk is, guys. And here's how all retail works. The last 15 to 20% of any product that get to retail is the riskiest part. This is why you have the word wholesale, you have distribution, all this other stuff, because they rather sell it in volume and have people fight for that last 15 to 20%. That 15 to 20% is wildly risky because it depends on local market conditions between supply, demand, interest rates, the quality of the product. And that's what realtors have to make a living on. And that's why their income's so all over the board, because a lot of those factors are completely out of their control. And if we know that, we as wholesalers want to control the things we know we can control. So you guys have to understand how that works. And here's my statement before I go into like anything else. We're going to do some Q&A here and figure things out. Is a lot of you go, well, it's kind of my 9 to 5 killing me. Though this isn't my line, but I thought it was really powerful. I believe Alex Ramosi said, it's not your 9 to 5 killing you, it's your 5 to 9. Now, I would say 5 to 11. What are you doing during these times in your wholesale business? A good entrepreneur does not have set hours. I'm just like, that's just how it's set. Here's the crazy part. I only set an alarm clock when I'm going fishing or I got like do a family event. Other than that, I wake up when the sun when the sun comes up. I have a set schedule, and if I have to work till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I just work it. I do not have a 9 to 5 mentality. I never understood it. I get it. The problem is never what you do in 9 to 5. It's what you do outside those work hours, which is going to determine the quality of your life. And even if you don't want to be a wholesaler or anything like that, you got to understand that is the truth of the matter, because what we do outside of our regular business hours is really, really going to determine what happens in our life. So let's go through, answer some questions. Got a questions, put it in here. And let's just jump out the guy with all caps, because I guess he's got my attention, but sorry. Probate to lead ratio on average. So Derek, here's how you have to look at it. What are the total amount of leads in an average month in the current probate market you're dealing? And you have to understand how that works in relation. So here's the deal with probates. You don't get an unlimited amount of leads. Now you can do it nationally. You can actually scrape it through X leads. They're just a little bit dated, and you can grab the low-hanging fruit all over the country, and it's a great strategy. But if you're talking about doing your local markets on average, depending on what it is, it's going to be between 50, maybe 40 and 80 leads, like outside of like Houston and places like that. Once you have that, then you decide, hey, what is my lead ratio on average? And it's going to be different for every county, so you can't really hang it on there. So if I have 50 leads in a month and I get 1, maybe 2 phone calls, it just is what it is. So don't expect to get 20 calls out of 40 leads. It's not going to go on, like, it's going to be a very small number. But here's what you got to understand. When you do find those deals that want to sell in probate, these are the ones that you hit it out of the park, like monster profits. It's like doing 5 to 7 assignments all in one shot. So you have to understand how that's going to work. So you guys kind of laugh at me at the alarm clock thing. When I was young, I had to set an alarm for everything because everybody owned my time. And you'll find out as you get very established in business, you dictate the time. I don't let anybody dictate my time. And so I kind of enjoy it that way. Now, I have to do work when I don't want to do it, because that's just because I have employees and stuff. But once I stop setting that alarm clock, people are like, what's your alarm? I'm like, honestly, I don't like sleeping with the phone next to my bed because that's a whole electric wave thing. But number 2, I just charge it in another room. And I mean, I guess you really got to get a hold of me. You know where to get a hold of me. But it's, if you call me at 3 a.m, nothing's going to change between that and like 7. So that's how I look at it. So, I need to, okay, let's answer this. I love these questions on here. What would you do if you were trying to re-enter wholesale, but have no confidence in getting deals, but have 15 to 20K capital to deploy? Number 1, don't tell people you have money. That's rule number 1. You are going to be an instant target for like coaching assassination, which means every coach is going to tell you how they know how to get you to the promised land. Number 1, don't tell me you have money. Number 2, when it says you're going to re-enter, I don't know why you left. I don't know if you were successful or you had a life event or family event. But if you left because you didn't have success, you're going to have to change the way you approach real estate, especially wholesaling. So number 1, hide the fact that you have money, because you are going to be a target on every coach's radar. And every coach wants between 5 and 10 grand, and they'll take you to the promised land. I promise you, they're not going to do that. I would start at freewholesaling.com. Number 2, confidence comes from you inside. Confidence comes from what you do every day, and you repeat it, and it's a predictable outcome. Lack of confidence comes from constantly taking advice from everybody else and not knowing what to do every day because you're scared you're going to upset someone. You're going to have to get in a pattern and establish confidence. Confidence can start with like the little basic wins. When you wake up in the morning, when you set 2 hours aside for marketing, when you call X amount of sellers, when you put a marketing plan. And then that's how you got to get started. Confidence comes from little wins that just build over time. And once you know you can have a predictable outcome, that's how you become highly confident. But here's the secret: confidence isn't sold to you in a bottle, it's just something you got to do every day. And if you haven't had confidence, which I've been in that predicament before, you have to build it with daily wins every day. And you get to the point you have to act as if and just keep going forward because nobody's just given confidence. And you'll find the most confident people in the world, either they duplicate somebody else and they go, okay, well, Rick did wholesaling. I know I can do it. Confidence is done for every deal you get done. And when you come in, you're going to have to make wholesaling a must. It can't be something you try. There's no trying in wholesaling. There's just wholesaling and not quitting. And you're going to have to admit you're going to suck at it in the beginning. That's fine. Just suck a little bit less every day. You have to understand that. So I tell you guys, any of you guys who think you need to get started with wholesaling and you have to have lending set up, you should have a lending option to cover you in certain situations, but it should not be your go-to way to do it. And if you understand that, you can get anything you want in wholesaling. So many people are telling you wholesaling it's not going to make it and stuff like that. Just get the tissues out and cry. I've been told this since 2003, guys. As long as there's real estate and as long as they keep making more of it, there will always be a certain percentage of real estate that needs help. It's never, ever going to stop. And honestly, I don't care if they call it wholesaling or not. Like, honestly, we would do better as an industry just to change the word because it's become like a bad word. I think realtor is a bad word, but that's my opinion. And it's propped up by NAR, but it is what it is. So, so this is easy one. How do you deal with EMD requests from the seller? You deal with them. You can't hide from it. So EMD stands for earnest money deposit. Now, if I'm buying someone's house and you're writing a cash contract, the EMD is the portion of it that you put down to show in good faith that you're good for the contract. What if I told you the first 2 years did wholesaling, I didn't even know what EMD was, and I never put down a deposit? And when people asked me, I was kind of dumbfounded. I was stupid about it. And what I learned is if you don't make EMD a contentious point, then it shouldn't be with your seller. I don't negotiate EMD. I go, on average, I'm going to tell you right now, usually between $250 and $500. Now, you got to use common sense in this. What if you get a smoking deal 50 cents on the dollar, like in your own backyard? And they go, listen, the only way I'm going to do this deal with is you got to leave a $10,000 earnest deposit. Are you going to argue the deposit? Because it doesn't affect the price. EMD does not affect the price, guys. It is a barrier to entry, and they're going to see if you freak out. Now, on an average deal, I'm not putting up a lot of EMD. Most of the times, I've rarely ever put up over $1,000. Why? It's a freaking deposit. And here, simply, I tell the seller, listen, I'm going to pay you $150,000 for your house. I'm putting up a $500 deposit, and that opens escrow. And then basically you will receive the $149,500 at the closing within 30 days of that. The EMD is just to get it up and running. And quite frankly, it's refundable. So what's the point? Well, I want your money to go hard. I can tell when people are starting to talk to realtors. Number two, understand this. If your seller has high EMD requirements, here's a secret. Either they don't trust you or they're not a motivated seller, or it's both. And if it's both, get the hell out of there because it's not going to work. Sometimes you guys make EMD like this contentious thing. It has no effect on the price. If I'm paying you $200,000 for your house, if the EMD is $190,000, it's still going to be a $200,000 house. So don't make it a big deal. And number two, ask yourself, is this seller motivated? And am I overpaying for the property? Because I find people that do EMDs, they're so busy trying to make the seller happy, they lose sight if they have a good deal or not. And remember, the main point of being a wholesaler is to buy low and sell medium. If you can buy low and sell medium, you can dominate in this industry. So I do not spend a lot of energy. And sometimes I do have to walk away from people who want crazy EMDs because so on average on a real estate contract, it winds up being about 2%. So on a $100,000 deal, they want basically $1,000 to $2,000 down. So it's not way out of line with what we're doing. When you get in the bigger numbers, I understand it. Remember, higher quality properties, people are going to want a higher barrier to entry, and that's why wholesaling does not work once you get above the average median price. Um, uh, so here's a favorite one of mine. Dude, stop with the all caps and start like I feel like you're screaming at me. I'm just telling you. So the follow up, you get them to trust you. I feel often that sellers don't really trust me. How can you go from being a voice on the phone to answer all their prayers? So you're not there to answer all their prayers. That's you do not have the capacity. Number one, you get past stranger danger, then you befriend them. How? You have commonalities. You find out what they like, what they want to do, and what you're trying to do is just earn their trust. I don't need you to solve all the world problems. I just need you to earn their trust. Because let me ask you this, Anna, would you ever do business with someone you don't trust? Would you let them put on a new roof? Or what if, like, the bottom line is, like, if you went to see a doctor and like they were giving you signs that like you just can't trust them, would you let them operate on you? The answer is definitively no. And so the problem is a lot of wholesalers try to move forward without like gaining trust. I can promise you, if you don't gain a seller's trust, no matter what you say, it's not going to work. And even price won't fix it. If people don't trust you, you scare the hell out of them. So stop trying to fix all their problems, get past stranger danger, and just get them to accept you. And how do you know when they trust you? They start talking to you more openly, and they start talking in open-ended questions. Then you have to connect with them, a whole new one. Connecting is actually having commonality and understanding them and get them on a human level. Like you talk about family, you talk about friends, you talk about the house, you talk about travel. And before you know it, you get in this beautiful conversation and it's like it's your best friend. Once they're your best friend, that's when you're going to go in and go, listen, I can talk about this all day with you. I came here to talk about buying your house. Do you mind if I get in the numbers? And that's it. Are you going to win everybody over? Absolutely not, man. I get rejected a whole lot more than I get accepted. But I have to make an attempt every time. And the ones that want to connect with me that have a property they need to sell, they have a much more invested outcome, meaning they're not going to beat me up on EMD. They're gonna ask quality questions. They might haggle with me a little bit, but at the end, they want certainty. They want to get their house sold. And that's what you have to do in wholesaling. So, guys, the name of the game in wholesaling is always buy low, sell medium, assign your contract, transfer the risk, get the biggest possible outcome with the littlest amount of cash, the littlest amount of effort. I don't even hide it from you guys because that's what I want to do. If you guys want to get that exact outcome and you understand there's been a shift in 2026 and what we forecasted is not coming to fruition, I believe our market's going to go deeper. There's going to be better discounts. And I believe things are going to get stagnant. It's going to be harder to sell properties. This is good news as a wholesaler. That means less would-be wholesalers are going to attempt this. And those of you that can figure out how to talk to sellers, gain their trust, and connect with them, you're going to be buying properties low and you can sell them medium. And there might be a day where you can actually buy them low and then sell them high, but we are a long way off of that, especially in 2026. If you want to learn how to do that, what I would do is I would go over to xleads.com right now. Me and Zach are offering a special. I don't know how much longer we're going to offer it, especially after this month. It is a 14-day free trial. You can pull your list. You can do your comps. You can pull vacancies. You can do high equity, absentee owners. You can get deceased probates. You can get more lists than any other one. You get 25,000 in a month. You also get your e-sign with it. We also throw in our CRM with our Go High level with all our workflows built into it. So you can manage at least 25,000 leads a month. And what better way to do it than X Leads, guys? And get that X Leads account. Make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. You join the largest wholesaling school group, 71,000 plus people. We got to be doing something right. You can find people in your own local market, your virtual markets, pair up with them, work with them. It is the largest wholesaling community for a reason, because you guys make it work. So guys, here's the difference is wholesaling works. The question is, are you going to work wholesaling? Stop trying to time it. So what? 2026 didn't come out exactly how we expected it, but I've been doing this for 24 years. I've been through the highest market. I've been through the lowest market, and I'm accepting that these things are going to not exactly repeat themselves, but they definitely rhyme. And 2026 is no different. So guys, let me know which ones you're going to do. I'm telling you guys, direct mail, look out. It's going to make a strong comeback because everything else seems to be getting crushed on it. But go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll show you how to do it. Make sure you get your X Leads account. And guys, as usual, if you got value from today, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Give me a few likes here. I will be back on Thursday with my beautiful son, Zach, and we'll give you some more updates on wholesaling real estate. Guys, stop trying to time wholesaling. Just get into it and don't quit. When people are running from wholesaling, you've got to do the complete opposite. Don't leave. Remember, a marathon wholesaler always hangs in there. Make sure you guys check us out. I appreciate it. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys Thursday. It's Rick Ginn. See ya.